Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on today's episode, we've got another animated series piece to take a look at courtesy of Diamond Select. Now, for the most part on this channel, we spent a lot of time taking a look at the X-Men, the animated series from Diamond Select, and Andrea and I have been loving those pieces. They've been so much fun, a lot of great nostalgia, and just overall really excellent pieces. But today we're taking a look at a different franchise that Diamond's been working on, and that is the Spider-Man, the animated series franchise. That's right, the Fox Kids favorite has been coming to statue form, and today we're taking a look at Spider-Man himself. But not just any version of Spider-Man, this is Unmasked Peter Parker Spider-Man. Not long ago on this channel, we reviewed the Spider-Man, the animated series bust, but there's a difference about what we saw then versus what we're looking at right now. Today, we're looking at the variant edition, and that is the unmasked version of Spider-Man. This is Peter Parker in his Spider-Man outfit with his face exposed. This variant edition is limited to 3,200 pieces, and it's pretty cool. It came out actually, I believe, last year. We didn't look at it back then, but I got my hands on it just recently. So today, we're going to basically take a look at this piece and see how it compares to that original version. Now that said, I'm not going to go into as much detail about certain aspects of the statue because I already did a video all about it. So if you want to hear about the masked version, go ahead and check out my archives and you'll find a full video all about that. But that's not to say I'm not going to go into a whole ton of detail about this. Just the same, there will be plenty of detail and nitpicking like always on this channel. And since I've already talked about it before, I don't really need to go into super detail in this box, but all the Spider-Man animated series come in this more or less exact same type of box, which doesn't have any windows unlike their PVC pieces. This is just straight up box, not a ton of detail, black background. You've got an image of Peter Parker on the front, as well as an animated version on the sides. Same version of him upside down, hanging from a web on both sides. And the back of the box is, again, nothing really too exciting, nothing super interesting. It's just a picture of that same statue we've already seen, and a short little piece of info on the bottom. And there's no bio. The info is literally just explaining to you what the statue is, letting you know once again that it's limited to 3,200 pieces. But most importantly, it does let you know who made this piece, and this was designed by Barry Bradfield and sculpted by Paul Harding. And I believe they've been doing all the animated stuff in this line. But that's enough about the packaging. I think we said plenty about it. So let's go ahead now and take a closer look at the statue out of the box and get a better look at it from all angles. All right, and here is our animated Spidey unmasked piece. Let's go ahead and do a quick rotation while I give you my initial thoughts about this piece here. And just a reminder that, yes, I actually did in fact review this piece a while ago, but I reviewed the version with the mask on. So, I'm going to try not to go over a lot of the same talking points, but to be honest, it's been a while. It's been a while since I made that video. It's been a while since I looked at that review, and I don't quite know what I'm going to do here. To not repeat myself, frankly, it's probably inevitable, but whatever. We're going to just see what we can do here about this. But regardless, I'm pretty sure I liked this piece last time I saw it, and I think it's going to be no different this time around either. So as we finish up this rotation here, you'll see there's the thwippy hand, which was kind of cut off screen a little bit ago. But so I think this is a good place to pause it than any, because this is going to lead right into the next thing I want to talk about. And it's not just the thwippy hand, it's the likeness. So let's discuss this likeness here, because that's really the selling point of this particular statue. And the big question here is, does this look like Peter Parker from the Spider-Man animated series? And I would have to say, especially from this profile, oh yeah, this is great. This is a great statue here. Like I said, I already like this piece. I know I like this piece. The question was, would I like the head sculpt that's on this Peter Parker here? And yeah, definitely I do. So one of the things that I've talked about in the past, and that Andrea has been with here on the channel as well, have talked about, is the X-Men animated series pieces from Diamond Select. They're also doing them basically in the exact same style. And there's not much of a difference between them as far as the looks go, because they are designed, I believe, by the same people also. So, if you like those X-Men, the animated series pieces, you're definitely going to like what you see with the Spider-Man animated pieces. Case in point, the biggest thing you're going to see that's similar between them is the lines on the faces. So you can see that here, especially with the Peter on his nose, this big one here in his cheek, the way his lips are outlined. So in order to kind of get that cartoon look, they're adding a lot of black outlines across this figure's face. So I think that's fairly subjective, whether or not you like that look. I know Andrea and I have debated it a ton of times in our other videos. I think she likes it a lot less than I do. But frankly, I do agree with her on the point that certain statues will look better than others with the way those lines are done, especially if they're really thick. So I feel like with the male characters, for the most part, they tend to look better because they need those thicker, bolder black lines. And Peter here is no exception. I think these lines work fine. The one thing that is weird, though, is this one on the nose. It's always weird on the nose. It's always weird on the nose, no matter who the piece is, just because of where it is, how it's placed. And like if you turn the statue like one way, it's gonna look great. Like I think it looks effing amazing right here. Like this looks really good. But if you turn it a little bit more this way, like this still looks pretty good. His chin looks enormous, but it looks good. But the minute you start to go in this direction, that's when it starts to look a little bit funnier, because that line just gets in the way. Totally does. So this is one of those instances where it's like, did they need it? Could they've done it smaller maybe? You know, the tough thing is without that line, it's a lot less like a cartoon and more just like a normal, more realistic statue. They kind of need to have these lines to make it feel like it's part of the animated look. So for really this review, the purpose of showing you this is just to let you guys be aware of it and decide how you feel about it. For me, I don't mind it as much, but again, it really comes down to how you're going to pose it. And personally, I think there's really only one way to pose this statue, and that's from this sort of three-quarter profile. While we're up close here, let's also spend some time on the hair. I think the hair is actually really nice. Like this looks excellent. And it's got 3 shades of paint plus the black outline. We have this like nice little highlight right up here in the top. We have the general brown color, which is making up the hair as a whole. Plus this sort of like cell shade look that's a darker brown. And you can see that across the piece here as we kind of like stretch it around. You know, this side of the hair actually looks way better because there's a lot more detail going on here. There's a lot more of the outline, a lot more of the color, especially when you see let's see if we get that in focus. From this part over here, I think this looks really nice because you're seeing a lot more of that hair detail. It's also sculpted too. This isn't just painted. There is some sculpt texture to help with the flow and help light reflect on it better. But yeah, like the hair is great because it really kind of captures that cartoon look in every way possible. So the hair is good. I think the head sculpt is nice. Ooh, it looks pretty good from this angle too, actually. That's kind of cool, just like rotating it and seeing which way it looks the best. But that hair is really nice. So I'm enjoying that. I think it looks pretty solid all around. So that part looks good. All right, so that's the unmasked head. That really is the biggest difference here. That's the most important part about this piece. But for folks who haven't seen my first review, we'll just do a quick little rundown about the rest of the statue here. And we'll show you guys the whole body. So this is everything else you're gonna hear. This real muscular Peter Parker. And there he is all posed real nice. Like I like actually posing it just like this, because this is like the best way. I think this is the ideal way to have us facing. You're getting a nice good look at the head, you're getting a good look at the outfit, and you're also seeing the flippy hand doing its thing here. So by the way, if you're wondering, yes, the spider webbing is actually all sculpted into him. It is not just painted black, it is actually sculpted and then painted black with those outlines. So typically with Spider-Man pieces, you know, that can be a thing where it kind of flattens out a little bit, and especially with this animated piece here, because these lines are so much thicker and blacker and bolder than you get in a typical Spidey piece, you would think it would hurt it, you think it would hinder it, but because it's based on the cartoon especially, it really doesn't make a difference. It's already pretty much, you know, what you expect to see from the cartoon, so it really very much helps the piece. It doesn't really flatten as much as you think. And it helps too that there are some other colors in there, you know, like not so much on this Peter Parker, but some of the other statues you'll see more color to get that cell shade look. But case in point, I think some of the best examples will be like, there you go, where the chest is and where the lats are underneath the arm. You're seeing more of like the other shade of blue that's kind of helping it make it look more cartoony. You're seeing it especially right here. So those are the things that help to lift it out of this 2D look and bring it into the 3D world while also maintaining that cartoon integrity. Now, I do want to talk about the flippy hand, because we can't really do this and not talk about the flippy hand. So there it is. It's pretty cool. It's a very fragile piece for sure. You know, like be very careful with it because it will snap off if you're a little too rough with it. But it looks nice. You have the perfect iconic Spidey pose with the fingers the way they are. So that looks really nice. Yeah, there you go. So that's, do it from the other side as well so you can see it, because it's really, it does look good from this angle too. Like this is the one part of the statue that looks good from any angle, is the flippy hand. So there you go. That's our Spidey. And there's the nice Spider-Man emblem as well. Let's talk about this base also. And the base is identical to what you're going to be getting in all the Spider-Man animated series pieces. That's what Diamond tends to do, is they keep these very uniform across all their series. So this one here, it's this sort of grayish hockey puck, but it's got a lot of like New York Art Deco style architecture. Like, in fact, you can even see kind of like this almost a bridge pattern that's here in it, kind of like meant to be maybe the Brooklyn Bridge or the Verrazano Bridge, or really any classic New York City bridge, as well as these big triangular lines here. Again, it's actually a really cool base. Like, you know, I think a lot of people don't give it full credit, but it's a really smartly designed base that helps remind you that this is a character from New York, or as we like to say it here in New York, New York. So let's see, anything else to discuss here that I haven't already touched about with this statue previously? I don't think there is. You know, I like the cartoon look, I like all the musculature, I like the anatomy. It's just such a well-designed piece overall. And quite honestly, if you missed out on it the first time around, although it is still available, this is a pretty good alternative. I think I can recommend this for sure. I think the bigger question here is whether or not this replaces that statue with the mask on, and I don't think it does. I think that's very much a matter of preference. So whether or not you actually want it with the mask on or whether you want it with the mask off, that's up to you. I think I like it both ways, to be quite honest. It's because it's a really great head sculpt. It really is. I mean, the head sculpt is phenomenal. I think it looks really nice, very smart looking head sculpt. It's fun to have this variant also. So for my money, it's not really a matter of one or the other. I think, frankly, it's both, really, because I think it's going to scratch a lot of people's itches in different ways, but I like having the classic Spidey with the mask on. And I think it's also cool to have this version with the mask off. And we should add, too, this is a special variant that came out a little bit a while ago. There's also another variant that's unmasked, not from this series, but it's from the X-Men animated series line that they've done. And there's an unmasked Wolverine. So that one's also really cool. I never got around to reviewing it on the channel, even though I do have it, I believe, somewhere. But I like that piece a lot also. So there are some options. They're doing more unmasked things. So it's definitely an option for you collectors out there. Again, I'm going to say really a matter of preference. I don't like one more than the other. I like them both, and I'm happy to have them both. And I think hardcore collectors, you're going to probably buy both anyway. So that's kind of my recommendation to you guys. Now, if you like this statue and want to add it to your collection, or maybe you prefer that unmasked version we talked about, which I've already reviewed previously here, if you check the description in this video below, I'm going to have some links to places where you can pick up both of those statues. If you use any of those links to make any purchases, it helps to support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So that's our look at the Spider-Man animated series resin mini bust from Diamond Select Toys. I really like this piece, and I'm pretty sure you're going to like it too. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and it's time for this statue to swing back onto my collection shelf. Swip.